and welcome to Mindset Kitchen. My name is Diana Paliokaiti and I'm the host of the show. Today I have a sensational lady here. Her name is Alexandra Legouix. She's a sports TV presenter, yoga meditation and mindset teacher, the founder of well-being events such as Mindset Unlimited that I had a pleasure to participate very recently. Hello, Alexandra.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's
I'm
such
so
a pleasure.
excited.
I'm glad you are excited because I was way more excited because I've read about you, your background, and wow, amazing. So we all want to know. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Oh, where to begin? So, yes, I am, I guess, predominantly a sports TV presenter. I focus primarily in the world of motorsport or automotive. And have spent the last 10 years presenting the World Touring Car Championship on Eurosport. And more recently, I host the YouTube channel for Auto Trader. And then whatever else I get pulled in to do. So I'll host awards dues or conferences, random stuff. Farnborough Air Show I did this year for their TV channel.
Right here somewhere, Farnborough.
No, nearer me. But
Okay.
yeah, there are,
Okay.
weirdly, there are a few
A
Farnboroughs.
few the same names.
But I was near here recently because I hosted some safety videos for the FIA, which is the Federation of International Motorsport, at Brands Hatch, which is near to you.
Yeah.
So that's one side of me, right? Is this presenting side.
The cool chick.
The cool chick, the cool sports chick. Then I have an entirely other side, which is the mental health, well-being, yoga teacher, meditation and mindfulness coach. And more recently, in the last 5 years, I studied to become a psychotherapist as well to cement what I had learned. And we can come on to it, but what I'd experienced in the world of mental health and having an actual credential qualification behind me, And as a result, these two worlds, there are other random worlds in there as well, but these two are the two that I balance most, and they are slowly starting to come together, which is the coolest thing ever. So last night, for example, I was presenting a mental health event and being able to interview the most incredible speakers. And so now that's where it's going to start going forwards, is more of that, basically.
So seems like your adrenaline, crazy, cool chick is balanced out by the mindset.
Very much so.
And all the calmness that goes on there. And it's what two worlds. It's pretty fascinating. It's almost like you encompass quite a few different personas or personalities because you either that or that, some people would say, but you're able to absorb it all and thrive.
When I was growing up, I am a singer as well.
Oh, wow.
And art and stuff. So there's lots of different variations, but I would consider myself as a creative and a creator, which encompasses all of it actually. And it's really interesting how it's evolved. So when I was younger, I wanted to be an actress, a singer, a presenter, more latterly a driver, there were so many different things. And when I very first started out as a freelance creator, if you like, I had everything on my website and you just have a click down, And then I had a few years where I had like huge pushback from potential employers or just in conversations with people. They'd be like, you can't be everything. You have to pick one and you have to focus on it. And I'd be like, nah, I'd be so bored. I can't just pick one and I don't want to focus on just one. And I'm so grateful to my past self for not taking that advice that was repeatedly given to me. Because now I feel like, as a result, I have been able to work out a way of being able to do all of the things. And I still know I'm not trying to be a famous singer. I'm not trying to be a famous artist or whatever, but it is so valuable to me that I kept working on those skills because they're amazing hobbies, but I think things have changed, you know. It's not like the first thing you say to me is, how can you be, well, that's bonkers, you can't be both. You can, everyone can be. They can be all of the things that they are good at and that they're passionate about. And it's just slowly working out how they all complement each other, because at the end of the day, it's the same person. I just wear different hats at different times, or parts of my, you know, I see it as a big spider web, but just parts are just highlighted or more lit on certain days or certain times of the day compared to others.
I can totally relate, and I'm so glad you actually mentioned that, because we are usually not forced or pressured or whichever way from family, friends, or bosses. You need to find what you're good at, and majority of the time it takes a long time to find what you're good at.
Yes.
But no offense to men, women are good at so many things because we're multitaskers. Our brain thinks totally different. So whilst we can master one thing, we can master quite a few things and be really good at loads of things. And the reason I can relate to, because I was a banker and I studied law, and my dream was to be a lawyer. But I'm here talking to you, and you know, I'm loving it. So if I listen to people who would say, no, you stick to this, you're really good at this, but my creative side was drawing me to do something else, I wouldn't be doing these things. However, all the past experiences obviously shaped me and made me who I am and how I am.
And so they make you a better interviewer.
Exactly. And having done those things puts you in a position of actually being able to master whatever you want, not necessarily what people think you should.
Yeah. I love that you say that as well. And also, if I reflect back on the people who were pushing back against what I would do, it would have been men not wanting to knock men at all, because nowadays it has changed significantly, but in the past it would have been male bosses or, you know, older males that would have not understood that I think women, you know, stereotypically women can actually do an awful lot at the same time, like you say, and do it really well.
Yeah.
What can I say? We're just, you know...
We are amazing.
We're amazing.
Wouldn't you agree, right? But I also want to get something out of you, because I know you have gone through a lot and you have experienced quite a few traumas, and I believe those shape us and make us stronger. And if you wouldn't mind to share a couple of them with us, just to understand, because there is, I think, the purpose and the meaning behind everything you do and where your path is going. And I'm sensing that's because of your experience.
Yeah, I think so. And certainly going through the studying the psychology and psychotherapy side means that I've spent a lot of time looking at where certain things have come from, because everything that we learn we have to do on ourselves before we can possibly sit with someone who's in a state of trauma or whatever. So I have done loads of work on this in the last 5 years, and you know, I am a firm believer on childhood trauma, you know, or childhood things, the people around us, the role models that shape us and things. And I didn't have the most stable of upbringings. You know, my parents are divorced. I lost contact with my dad for, I think, about 20 years. I was that atypical child who believed that the reason why the family broke up was my fault, or the reason why my dad left was because I wasn't lovable. All of those sort of cliche rejection, you know, I'm able to own now, and it's only really been very latterly that I'm able to own an element that has firmly shaped my upbringing of a fear of rejection and a fear of, not being liked, not being good enough and stuff like that. I also, and I don't want to go into it too much because my mum, bless her, will listen to this, but, you know, I've been in an environment where there has been substance abuse, and dealing with that as a child, not understanding what's going on in the family home, and that makes you very, very sensitive. So what version of this person am I going to get in front of me today? It makes you hyper aware of facial expressions, of body language, of those things, because it's a fight or flight system, right? And so the reason why I'm saying that is because they really firmly shaped me into becoming a very independent person growing up, but also a really resilient person growing up. And then when more like bigger things happened to me, or, you know, other things happened to me growing up, that sense of resilience and self-confidence was really strong. So I fell and broke my back in 2014, and I don't tend to do things by halves. Like that stuff happens to me. Like I have a bit of a reputation, and always have since growing up. If I have a story to tell, it tends to be quite extreme. So I was dancing with a friend of mine. We'd drunk too much, and we were showing off our Argentine tango skills, but I have to say were fantastic, and I'm sure everyone thought they were brilliant.
Another one of your skills.
I was so drunk, but trust me, they were not good. And the two of us fell, and he was a big rugby guy, a South African sort of big human, you know, big, strong, heavy human, and he fell straight on top of me. And I fell on a step between the kitchen and the garden, quite a deep 1 foot step. And that resulted in a fractured T10, 3 prolapsed discs, and a severely dislocated pelvis.
Wow.
And I lost all feeling. I couldn't stand up. I had to be carried to my bedroom. A&E came out, but I was too drunk, so they wouldn't do anything with me there and then. But, you know, as it transpired, I was really not in very good shape. And they discovered that I have a fast and very severe degenerative disc disease called facet joint disease. I mean, everyone has a degree of disc degeneration, but mine is what one would expect to see in a 70, 80-year-old with advanced arthritis and things. So that explained why I broke so much. Didn't help the situation. And overnight, what I was doing, being, you know, always super adrenaline junkie, but also dancing, impact, teaching boxing, PT, all that sort of stuff, had to stop overnight. And the doctors were like, you need to do yoga or Pilates or something that's like zero impact. And
it's a sign.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, well, that sucks, because that sounds really boring.
Yeah.
But I threw myself into the yoga, and within a year, I was like, this is the best thing ever. I was stronger mentally and physically than I had ever been before as a result of that journey. And that then, you know, that's why I then went to India and studied to become, you know, it was like it was like the answer to the common cold in my brain. I was like, everyone needs to, this is amazing. This process of sitting on a mat and learning about yourself is amazing. I mean, there's more. I was hit by a parasol and knocked unconscious. That was another sort of life-threatening. Yeah, there's loads. There's loads of random things that have happened, but I think it's just made me more resilient. I'm not sure what your first question was, but...
I wanted to know all of that because actually someone we both know said to me, you are so alike. Oh. You and Alexandra have something so similar.
That's
albeit
cool.
I don't have bodily injuries. I am different kind of person, injuries. Mine is all psychological injuries that I've experienced through life. And I did not also come from a stable family, and my dad was alcoholic, and loads of traumatic events that you actually just brought something else to me that now I'm going to reflect back later and realize, because as you said, the facial expressions, the movements of certain people, i.e. alcoholics and so on, or someone's doing something which really irritate me, and I would never know why. Yeah. Now I know why, because my dad used to do that, obviously. That would really upset me. And the trigger would be exactly. And then certain behaviors trigger me now, and people would not understand. So I sat there, I stood here, just nodding my head because I just understand certain points from your story and can relate. Don't necessarily experience them the same way, but I can totally relate. And when you were telling me about your story of this horrific injury and how you discovered what was happening and then you went into yoga, I think my traumatic was again psychological because I lost my husband 4 years ago. And when I lost my husband, prior to that, if someone says, let's go do meditation or yoga, and I'll be like, snooze. This could not be any more boring because I was a person who loves doing, sports and really fit. I was a dancer before, so I needed that movement and I could not sit still. But once I discovered meditation, it literally was the most beautiful thing in the world. And I connected with everything and everyone I needed to be connected. And now I'm talking about it. And now I have that personality of still fit, active, but also balancing myself out with the other angle. And so I can see why this person said to us that you there's something so similar about you and Alexandra. And obviously because I did not know anything about you, I said, okay, well, bring her on.
Wow.
and here you are. So thank you so much for honestly sharing your story. And I just was like this and I just wanted to do this.
Wow.
But I don't want to do too many expressive things or interrupt you because it was very heart touching. So thank you so much. And I hope audience appreciates your honesty.
Thank you. And likewise.
Thank you.
That can't have been an easy journey.
No, but we know everything happens for a reason. And you are here for a reason as well. So before we go into Alex's first message, I want to quickly say what I'm going to cook. After all, I want to feed my sensational lady here. So when I asked Alex what she would like me to cook for her, she said something Asian or Thai, something she would not normally eat. And I actually want this meal to be something she would normally eat because I want her to make this at home really easily. And unbeknown to me, she said to me that she's not a great cook or she doesn't cook, whichever form it is. I want you to cook this because I'll show you how simple it is to make, but it's wholesome, delicious. And it's what you see is what you get. It's one of my favorite phrases, what you see is what you get, because when you go to restaurants, God knows what goes in there. You eat and you absolutely loving it, but you come back home and I know Alex has intolerances as well. I come back home, I'm like, oh, next day, it's even if you did not drink alcohol, you feel you need to recover from the meal. So here it's really simple, and I hope I ignite your power. Another one of your skill would be learning cooking.
Do you know I'm going to Vietnam I'm going to Vietnam and Thailand and Bali next week.
Wow.
Not all in 1 week, but over the next 3 weeks, which is also why I was like, something Asian would be cool. And while I'm out there, because I'm actually going to stay with my dad for the first week, I can cook this for him.
See? And I promise you will be able to. I promise. Okay. Knowing your powers. Easy. So what I'm cooking for Alex today, what I said is quite simple. Today, I've actually never made this meal before myself. I usually use different fish, but I have amazing fishmongers and I get beautiful sashimi grade salmon. So it's salmon here, delivered today in a massive fillet fish. I fillet it and cut into nice pieces that will go into the lovely coconut and Thai curry paste with fish sauce and loads of greens in there.
Oh my
gosh. As simple as it is, but sometimes simplicity is what it makes so delicious rather than overcomplicating dishes. So I'll start slowly chopping, but first I will introduce the first message, which is very exciting because I really want to know what's the experience behind this message. And I promise you've never heard this before, neither have I. So it's definitely coming from her own special world. So the contentment is your baseline. It's clutter that's blocking it.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Contentment is your baseline. I think, look, I mean, unless a baby has an innate psychological imbalance, then on the whole, and I'm not a scientist, let me just caveat all of what I say with that, but on the whole, a baby is happy, or a baby is content. Happiness is a bit of a dubious word, actually, and I'll keep accidentally saying it, but that's a different
It's quite
story.
a personal thing.
Yeah, exactly. But the baseline is, let's call contentment, you know, and we spend our life. This is where happiness can come in, because we have a misconception that we spend our life looking for that end goal of happiness, and the torture that one puts themselves through in that process of finding it is unnecessary. And I think that flipping the script is something really important. And I like to liken us to a phone, for example. You know, you buy yourself a brand new phone, it's got absolutely nothing on it. The phone battery lasts for days. It works really well. It'll do stuff really quickly. But then, because we all want to find happiness, we go and start downloading apps. You know, we want our Facebook, our Instagram, our TikTok, or Twitter, or whatever, you know. And then the phone starts struggling to function. And I truly believe that us as humans, we are like a brand new phone organically. And that the reason why we're not finding daily contentment is because we're not flipping the script enough. And for me, like, one of my biggest discontentment, is that the right word? Yeah, lack of content, whatever that word is.
I'm not English, so we'll not.
We'll go with that then. I really struggle with romantic relationships, right? And, you know, I know that I pay 50% of the role in romantic relationships, but, you know, and I can't control what they do, but, you know, I can control my reactions, responses, and all of those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Anyway, instead of trying to work out how to make things better, it was how to take things out that are bringing sadness, you know? So I would write down a list of things that are writing down a list of things I want to make me happy, but the things that are making me feel stressed or sad, you know? And it needs to be things that make you feel stressed and sad on a repeated basis. So, you know, traffic is not going to change, whatever, that's just an out of our control situation. But what are things that are repeatedly making me feel sad? Can I make a list of what they are? And then I, from that list, try to work out what is in my control and what is out of my control. Mm-hmm. What is out of my control is about letting that go, and that's easier said than done, obviously, and that takes a lot of process. But there's, you know, how can I accept that situation? How can I accept, yes, it's not great, but acceptance is part of it. It's basically not in my control. But what can I do about the things that are in my control, and how can I start changing those? How can I say no, which is such a key thing. And once I started really flipping the script, the happiness that came through, once I was even aware of what was making me unhappy, and then making drastic changes to get rid of those things that were making me unhappy. Now I feel like, you know, I am in a position where I've managed to get myself back to a baseline. I feel so excited and happy about life at the moment. And I feel really proud of myself to have gotten into a position where I'm back to that being my baseline. When things come in for me at the moment that may be trying to throw me off balance, you know, there's something that's happened recently with work that's you know, where I was very stable with certain jobs. Something's happened recently where it was destabilizing. My instant reaction, as is everybody, is, why me? What can I do? What more do I need to do? But I was just able to see it, observe it. It's out of my control. There's nothing I can do about that. Accept that. See the positives in it. Is it affecting my actual baseline of happiness? No, It's not. It's completely changed things.
It's beautiful because I wanted to understand what the clutter is. Now I can see what you meant by clutter. The clutter is the things you can't control.
Yeah.
Which is genius because there's so many things we can't control, but we letting it in as if we can control them.
Yeah.
And the way we can control them, then it feels like it's overpowering. But trying to control something you can't control, you forget the things you can control, and that provides you contentment.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love this message.
Yeah.
And the way you laid it out. So maybe people come from a different angles to this, but if we all focused on decluttering the things that we cannot control, which is, I don't want to say just random number out of blue, but it sounds like 50% of things we can't control. You know, there is traffic, there is people, there is behaviors, there's supermarket, the groceries you get. There could be endless list of things we can't control, and you can't control the things that will happen in your careers where you have to change jobs, or the boss decided you're not good enough, but you feel you're good enough. The list goes on, right?
Yeah.
But if you have that awareness, which I think your third message is, but I think we could bring it forward into a second combine, it provides more and more clarity of what is that clutter.
Yeah, absolutely right. It really does. And prioritizing what's an important thing to worry about, stress about, you know, working out those priorities. We have a tendency to, like you say, you know, those really silly but frustrating, I'm not saying that they don't annoy me as well, you know, traffic, those inconveniences that inevitably make your day harder. I get that. But what I am in control of is my response to them. And do I really need it to matter that much? No, can't do anything about it. It's tough. You know, all I can do is my best of let someone know that I'm going to be late, and then that is up to them how they respond to that. There's nothing, you know, maybe leave a bit earlier the next time I make that particular journey. Controlling how, you know, how I respond to things also just feeds back into that baseline of contentment. I think it's really important to have a look about the things, you know, what apps are you downloading into your life, and what apps
That
can
was
you
a good
start
analogy as well. Yeah.
uninstalling?
Yeah.
Do
That
you
was
really
perfect.
need them?
And exactly the same way, for example, today I was cleaning the kitchen, and you know, you may think you come in, it's all nice and clean, but I was scrubbing it because I was cleaning, and many times this thought comes to my head, I can't believe this wasn't my job, clean. You know, I'm like cleaning and obviously almost like gliding on this massive countertop, you know, to make sure I can still see, you know, I'm not so OCD, but I can see like where I wiped and the tissue wipe. But I was cleaning it, and my awareness is so now sharp, is that like those senses that you have and master them, that I was saying, well, imagine if I didn't have this every single Friday or every single time I'm filming, my kitchen might not be so clean. So imagine the maintenance this kitchen gets constantly, and then I have a person who comes and cleans the house on top of it. So you just maintaining its purity and cleanliness. So it's fun, Diana. I'm like, yes. So I'm like, oh, I need to go and do my makeup. I was into it, enjoyment, like sudden enjoyment took over me rather than like, clean the kitchen again. I don't want to clean, I want to talk to people. But that awareness allowed me to shift it and understand that it's actually very important when you do things and you can control them, do it with certain contentment and enjoyment. Because that will also produce better results, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
So thank you for that. I love that, because this particular message, I guess you can say it in a very boring way: be organized, declutter, or put things you can control in one side, another side out of control. But the contentment piece is the hero word, as I would say. And you said not necessarily happiness is the contentment, because we all understand what contentment is, whereas happiness can be so personable and very subjective.
Contentment can be quite boring as well. And
quite
it's
boring, but knowing what it is.
And understanding the role that you play in creating drama in your life, and because of an avoidance of boredom, an
Yeah.
avoidance of contentment. And, you know, as a psychologist, I would, you know, if a client were to come to me and be like, oh yeah, but that sounds really dull, then I would just find out why, you know, what's underneath that.
Because there is
That's
something
stopping
there.
you from.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't want the space. They don't want the stillness. They don't want the brain space because if they're scared of what's going to come in
something.
instead.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like I need to talk to you because you will understand me, and I want to pick on my childhood a lot because I'm writing a book as well, and loads of things coming out to me as I'm writing the book. And my childhood, and recently with my mom, as I was speaking, she would say to me, "Oh, you used to do this and this." I'm like, "I don't remember, Mom." And then she would say something else, and I just realized I don't remember much, and I'm only remembering the really, really amazing things or really bad things.
Yeah.
I don't remember that kind of a baseline of normal day-to-day life. I just can't recall anything, and I think my subconscious done something with it to block it, or it's I've only decided to take in what's good and bad and leave out the rest. I don't know. So it's some of the things that coming out to me I really want to explore, and I want someone who's gone through something similar because the questions that I think are very then relevant rather than the methodology based, but more experience based. And I prefer talking to people who experienced rather than people who have never experienced it, because I had that scenario. And
also, though, what you're describing, if I can liken it to what I experienced and then the stuff that I've learned a little bit more about, you know, like the fight or flight system, I think it's really easy to forget that there's also freeze and fawn. And when you're in an environment where it's a bit unstable, the bits that you're saying that you remember really clearly would probably have put you into probably fight or flight mode. But what we have a tendency to do, and what one has a tendency to do if they're in a permanent environment where there is somebody or something that they have to constantly navigate, is that we go into a fawn state. So if you put it back to the saber-toothed tiger, which is what one tends to know when they think about the fight or flight, you know, we'd either run away from the saber-toothed tiger or we try and fight it. The freeze is obvious, you know, we stop in our tracks. The fawn, and this is what comes up a lot in violent, you know, physically or mentally violent relationships, is that we tend to feed and we caress and we do whatever we can to this saber-toothed tiger to placate it, to make our environment as good as we possibly can do. But that fawn system can dull our senses completely because we are in this very scary survival mode. It's all about the other, the external things.
And looking out for danger. I would lay in bed and think, oh, is it tonight going to be tonight? So you forget your feelings
and
as a child,
are not
you know,
present at all. So it's not hugely surprising. You know, and if people listening feel like there's a degree of disassociation that they've experienced, quite often it's because you've just gone to a very extreme version of that dysregulation.
Yeah, for another time, definitely. So call you later. So I know you're cooking for your dad, so it's 100% confirmed your dad is expecting this meal.
Oh God, okay.
Simple. You can make your own. You can make your own Thai curry paste, but I don't. And I make pretty much everything by myself, chili sauces, and I made loads of curries myself. But many times you don't, and they're really good. And I'm using simply Thai green curry paste. I'm going to reduce because it's going to start splashing. I sometimes forget that the pan is on whilst you're filming. But what you do, get any Thai curry paste. And there you can see the vegetables here. You don't have to have exactly the same.
So that's
Pak choy, broccoli, snap peas, spinach, and chili. Okay. This chili is not really spicy, so I usually just, some people love spicy, but I just go with quite mild. So you remove the seeds, and the seeds are the ones that are spicy. So the shell itself is not too bad. And if you put a few seeds in there, it's actually quite nice. It brings it all up.
Kick.
What you can use peas. What else? What other green things you have that Thailand will have all sorts of like Thai vegetables that we don't really get. A sweet corn, anything you want, any vegetable, pepper, even tomatoes, you can chuck it in. This is a very giving recipe. So whatever you have there with your dad, open the fridge. As long as you have coconut milk, fish sauce, which absolutely stinks, but when it goes into the meal, it changes the whole flavor. And fish, you can use prawns, salmon, you can use monkfish, squash, sweet potato, chickpeas. You can use anything you want. This is what you need. The rest you can just literally chuck with your closed eyes. Wow. And it's absolutely fine. So the Thai paste, usually just need to add it into a hot pan to just kind of slightly allow the aromas to come out from the paste, and a little bit of coconut milk. So with the coconut milk, Alex, there are loads of varieties there. And I know in Thailand, probably just going to be good, simple variety. In here you can get fat reduced and all. Just go for the best, full fat, normal coconut milk. So there's no, nothing reduced, because the flavor is in the milk and it will allow you to be really creamy. And simply just cook the paste a little bit with coconut milk. The rest will go in after. And with this meal, we also don't need to worry when things go in or undercook or overcook. Chatting with your dad, having a glass of wine or gin tonic, whatever, remember, chuck it in. And just keep on going until everything is chucked in. And then you just cook everything for another 5 minutes till the coconut milk starts slightly reducing, and you will see when you pour the coconut milk, the line will be here, and as reducing, it will go down there. You will now slightly reduce and thickens. So when it starts evaporating, it thickens a bit, so it creates a texture. And then serve it with rice. I've just cooked the rice. They're sitting here warmly, whichever way you want to cook. Or we get cooked rice already, but your dad will be there. He's living in Thailand, so he knows exactly how to cook rice. And I think you might,
I'm so excited.
steal his heart.
Yeah. Wow.
So can I just bring you, because I've written down these messages, but I think we need to bring this third message that was third into second, which ties in beautifully your first message. Self-awareness and knowledge is power.
Yeah, hugely. Yeah. Well, I guess, you're right. As a feeder to this enhancing your state of contentment and well-being, a really big part of that is self-awareness. And I think it's really easy. Like, I consider myself to be quite a self-aware person. I wasn't when I was young. I think I would consider myself to be an old soul. So I did have a lot of self-awareness growing up. But equally, that probably is to do with, our similar backgrounds that we just had to survive earlier, which others may not have needed to go through. And I've always wanted answers. I've always wanted to learn a little bit more about why people are doing stuff around me and stuff. But I think it's really difficult to just tell someone that they need to have self-awareness. And if they're not ready for it and they're not seeking it in themselves and they don't have a need, then you can't just make it happen. So we all have friends who are like, how can they not realize that they're doing X, Y, and Z? Or how are they doing that? Why do they keep doing that? And quite often that is a lack of self-awareness. But doing the course, my God, over these last sort of 5-6 years of studying psychology, the knowledge that I have learnt about myself and where my isms come from has been deeply exciting and fascinating and at times terrifying. But as a result, the difference that in decisions that I'm making and boundaries and self-confidence and relationships, like friendships, all of those sorts of things, has massively changed my life. And I was just thinking, you know, if one is around someone who is in like a repeated cycle of negativity or self-destruction or any of those things, rather than telling them that they need to do X, Y, and Z, or they need to, or, you know, claim that they need to be more self-aware, is do the work on yourself and then role play it, you know, or model it, because it's infectious when you're around people who are also doing the work, you know.
Yeah, it is. And I think that self-awareness could be quite now used word. I use it all the time, really often, here with my son, with my partner. But it's one of the fundamental, I think, aspects of human development and growth.
Yeah.
Without it, you can't grow. Without it, you may grow, but you're not growing from within. You're growing what's the external environment providing you. And this self-awareness, it's the most powerful tool you can have. And whether you need psychotherapist or therapy or coach, anyone's help to find that self-awareness is when the and when you find it, it's the smallest things that will really start matter, because they are the ones that you going to take control, and they will actually go away. You won't even think about them afterwards. So it's almost like you're waiting for that big situation, and in the big situation is awareness is key, is the king. And we say that, but it's not the easiest thing to do. And it's the awareness needs to have a desire to be there in the first place. So the person needs to be right. I want to get this awareness. How do you get it? So to believe and to get, and need to be hungry for it.
Yeah,
and once
agree.
you get it, it's life changing.
Yeah, and I think that there are a number of things. Like if someone finds that they are having repeated life lessons, or let's not even go that far, you know, if bad things happen repeatedly, you know, are there things that are happening time and time again that are around the same topic, you know? Are you constantly in failed relationships, or are you constantly losing jobs, or are you constantly around negative people, or whatever, you know? Then I think a really good thing is to remove the other person from the situation for a start, because you can't, like I said earlier, you can't control what that other person does, impact, whatever. But I think a first step would be to ask yourself why, like the power of why, being curious about your position in the situation. You know, to echo earlier, the biggest thing that I need work on, that I need to keep working on, is my ability to be in a relationship. So when things trigger me, I have to find out why. And if that doesn't answer, and it inevitably won't, what's the why underneath that? What's the why underneath that? And almost always it will come back to something that happened to you as a child, or an environment that you were in as a child, that we are always trying to hide from. And again, if things and people or whatever, I'm a firm believer in like mirror work, and that anybody or anything that upsets you, we go around assuming that it's upsetting everyone else too, you know, without realizing that everything that upsets you is a mirror. Because it's normally, if it's a person and that person irritates you or anything, they are normally showing the parts of yourself that you like to hide or you don't like about yourself. So if you find a negative trait, or you think somebody is deceitful, arrogant, all of those things, they're probably traits that are within you. Because
you so easily, what do you call?
Yeah, masking.
And you easily recognize them as well.
Absolutely, that. Yeah, and that's like a really big first step, I think, to self-awareness, is the things that you recognize. Because the amount of times that you'd be like, oh my God, doesn't that person really annoy you? And someone else you'd be around and be like, no, like,
Yeah.
I don't get that at all. Not at all. Or you might find, quite often your tribe will be like, yeah, they do my head in too. Because you're going to like, your tribe tends to be a similar, they have similar traits. But that's a really big thing, is to look at what the mirror is showing you and what are the things that are grievances in your life and what are they saying about you. And it's just that self-curiosity is really cool.
It
You
is.
know, I don't want to sound like this self-knowledge, knowledge is power, all that crap. We can find that in all of the self-help
Yes.
books ever. It's
Yeah.
the most preachy thing, and I don't want it to sound preachy, but I'm really excited about self-knowledge. Like the difference that it's made in my life is monumental, and it's so important that people do that work on themselves.
Completely agree, because what you said, perhaps it was again extremely honest account of you sharing that, but you knowing and aware the certain reasons you can't stay in a relationship and you working on them is power. You have the control and the power to change it. So there's no more, you can't be victim or moaning about it.
No.
You know what to do. And to be able to know what to do is incredible, because so many times we don't know what to do. What's the best way? So when you know, that comes from that awareness, and you have the power to change things, is you on the perfect step, or perfect path, I would say, to actually get what you want.
Yeah.
And
make different decisions.
Exactly. So Alex, as I'm aware, I have a person here who would like to cook this meal afterwards, and no pressure, because I'll ask her to send me a photo afterwards, which will be attached to the website as well, of her showing that. No pressure. I've realized that I was just popping things in and I was not actually telling you. Everything goes with flavor here. So the amounts of coconut milk and curry paste, whilst there are recipes giving you 2 tablespoons of paste and 400 ml of coconut milk a can, I don't follow those. Majority of times I don't follow. I go with the taste. So taste, I need more paste, add more paste.
Got you.
You need more salt, add more salt. You need more fish sauce, add more. Just need more coconut milk, because I want to, a little package away for you. So I'm doing double amount. Just taste and decide yourself.
What does the fish sauce, what flavour does that?
Can't tell, but it's not the most appealing to
okay, but I know it.
You can taste
I'm
as well.
aware of it. Yeah,
so the smell is worse than the taste. The taste is quite salty.
Yeah, okay. It's
But
nice.
the smells,
I actually
you
don't
like
the
it,
smell.
yeah? I'm not particularly keen on it. But, and then with vegetables, if you have a broccoli, for example, or butternut squash, you just put them in a bit earlier. And then the ones that cook quite quickly, just put them later. So now I've added salt, pepper, a bit fish sauce. I tasted, I added more curry paste. Now I'm going to add salmon, because salmon just needs, again, a few more minutes. Adding the salmon fillet in there. And I have a beautiful fishmonger. Fish arrives always extremely fresh, and I'm hosting a lunch party tomorrow, so I'm making sashimi salmon, like a Peruvian dish. So I'll be using the salmon wisely this weekend.
Oh, wow.
There you go. All goes in. Few more minutes, and then I'm going to put pak choy, spinach, and at the end chili and coriander, which is a beautiful herb for the curries. And I'm going to read your third message.
Yeah.
Your past is a teacher, not a master.
Yeah, yes.
Amazing.
Okay, yeah. God, whatever I was on that day was it's good shizzle, Legouix.
You were not the cool chick, you were the, psychotherapist,
clearly,
kind of like a meditation zone. Share with us,
I
please.
didn't think about it. Right, what was it? Your past is a master. No, your past is a teacher, not a master. Yeah, and I remember thinking that the not a master bit is really important. So we all know that our past teaches us, and formulates the whole nature nurture thing and all that sort of stuff. Formulates a real grounding for who we're going to become, what we're going to be like as we're older, and it can fiercely map things out for us, right? But it's really important to remember that script, that narrative doesn't have to stay. So let's say it was a traumatic upbringing. Of course, that will never change. You can't rewrite it, but you can completely reframe it. So what we have a tendency to do, and I'll put my hands up, you know, I cannot tell you how many years I spent being a victim of this, my dad doesn't want me. I cannot tell you the impact that that had on, and that, you know, this self-awareness is that is why I play this role in relationships, and that's the work that I need to keep doing and will keep doing. And then hopefully at some point I will change that narrative. But that's my biggest issue. But if I didn't try to flip that script, nothing's going to change for my future. I will continue to be in unhealthy relationships or make relationships unhealthy. You know, I don't blame any of my, well, you know, within reason, but we both play a part, you know?
Yeah.
But it's the hardest thing for me is releasing the script of my family. And so reframing it. So something that I have started trying to do is looking back over times where, you know, as a child and in moments where I've been really sad, is look a lot more at what did I learn? What are the lessons in here? What things did I need to learn? What did I not learn from that? Why did I repeat those same mistakes again and again and again? And the more I've been doing that, I can feel it starting to make changes. You know, without that work, I feel like I will continue the narrative of the book that it was written in the first place, you know? Whereas by rewriting it and reframing it and learning those lessons, the book will be different at the end. We get so hung up, I think, on trauma, and it's really easy to relive stuff and relive it in exactly the same way again and again and again, because it's easier to sit in this victim mentality. All these things happen to me. Oh, how awful. And, you know, the people who have known me for all of my life will you know, in some times have been like, identified me as somebody who's had a lot of crap that's happened in various different forms. And now, instead of almost feeling proud of that, I feel proud of the lessons that I've learned from it. And there's just a gentle shift, I think, there. And that leads to a much less reactive space, you know? I mean, all of it feeds in. I sort of see there's this gap, which a meditation, as you know, will really helps with this. Something happens and then you react to it, right? And something happens, we react. Something happens, we react. But there is an opportunity for there to be a pause between something happens, we react. There's an opportunity to elongate that pause. And when I first start meditating, that's what, for me, I visualize it as an actual gap, and that really started to grow. But all of these other things, something happened to me in that gap. Instead of reacting, okay, so what have I learned? What's happened? Why has it happened? Why did I react like that? Why did I write down to the base cause? Then you can have a reaction, which will be much more measured and changes, rather than repeating the same mistake, the same reaction, you know?
And as I listened to you, Alexia, it felt like you were having quite deep and reflective thoughts, because I could see you properly thinking and trying to go within.
Yeah.
And I sensed it, and I hope the audience sensed it as well. You wasn't just sitting here and preaching or telling. She was being herself and sharing what's within her and what she's going through, what she's working through. And it's admirable. So thank you for being so honest. I felt your honesty and I felt your workings are almost happening as you're doing it now almost.
Yeah.
And there may be some little moments came through to you as you said the words and you're like, mental note.
Yeah.
Because your face and your body language and the way you looked away and deep thoughts, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I appreciate this environment provided you that, because
Absolutely.
you have been a wonderful guest and the dish is ready to be served as well.
Yes.
So Alex, do you think you could re-perform this?
Yeah.
That's the attitude.
I think so, actually. You know, it's just a case of getting the right mixes and throwing it all in the pan. I mean, that's definitely music to my ears.
You can even try with your closed eyes.
Yes.
Just to show off a little bit.
Yeah. Yes.
So
my dad is an amazing chef. I love the fact as well, you know, obviously we've spoken about things that, you know, and I've said a few times about the fact that I've got repair work to do about my childhood. And I'm actually going for the first time ever to Vietnam, which is where my dad is, and I'm spending 2 weeks with him. That
proper
is
repair
more
work
than I've ever done since I was 4.
I don't think
I've never
spent 2
time.
weeks with my dad as well. Even though I lived with in the same house, we shared a wall, which we never really breached. So 2 weeks with someone, it's a proper repair work that I think huge shift will happen, and you will come back so much lighter.
Yeah.
Because if I can relate very similarly, there are so many things that you would love to say, would love to hear.
Yeah, right.
That even though they can be said with your own mind, they need to come from the right person and at the right place, even at the right time. And I wish you all the best for that.
Thanks.
So it's going to be beautiful, probably beautiful as this curry. So there you go. Some white rice, jasmine white rice, brown rice, whatever rice you want. And I'm going to put this, just remove a bit of rice. I'm going to use this. We have that. And I'm going to chuck in quickly chili.
Oh, I see. So you only put those in right at the end.
Just at the end, so they remain a little bit crunchy. And they have this zesty spiciness. If you cook them, they become soft and soggy. And I like, but that's a personal preference as well.
Okay.
You may want to add that later and cook them down, whichever way. But I want to make sure you have first salmon in there. My serving skills are not the best, but it's all about food for me rather than the way it looks. It's all homemade, you know,
place.
bish bash bosh. And
wow.
there you go. If you need any salt or pepper, please let me know. How we eat, you can just grab a spoon of rice and then soak it in, and there you go.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Hopefully enjoy it.
Do I dive in?
Dive in,
Look
please.
at that. It looks fabulous.
Thank you so much for being here, Alex. I really appreciate it. It has been absolute pleasure, more than I expected. I knew I have a treat. I knew I have a sensational lady. Keep doing what you're doing, finding your purpose, your passion. You are amazing. Thank you for being here. And thank you everyone who tuned in and watched us. Enjoy.
You.